and haply may strike at you. Provoke him that he may, for even out of that will I cause these of Cyprus to mutiny, whose qualification shall come into no true taste again, but by the displanting of Cassio. Take a look at the footnotes and see what Iago is saying. So Iago is saying that the fight that Rodrigo is going to cause is going to disturb everyone on the island of Cyprus so much that Othello is going to have no choice but to get rid of Cassio. Not get rid of him, kill him, but get rid of him as his lieutenant. That's what he's talking about when he says the displanting of Cassio, because Cassio is going to make such a fool out of himself. So shall you have a shorter journey to your desires by the means I shall then have to prefer them, and the impediment most profitably removed, without the which there were no expectation of our prosperity. So Iago is saying this is the only way to do this, and once Cassio is fired from the spot of lieutenancy, he's going to have no business being here, and so it will move Cassio away from Desdemona, so Desdemona won't have the opportunity to have Cassio as her second choice. And Iago is saying, so that'll make it easier for her to see you, and you can be her second choice, which we all know, hopefully after you saw the video of how Rodrigo looks and acts in the film, that's truly what his character is, and he's not going to be a desirable second, third, fourth, fifth choice for Desdemona, or really probably any other woman at this point. But Iago says, if you don't do this, then neither of us are going to win in this situation. So Rodrigo says, I will do this if you can bring it to any opportunity. So he's in agreement. I warrant thee, meet me by and by at the citadel. I must fetch his necessaries ashore. Farewell. So Iago says, we'll meet later. I've got to go pick up Othello's stuff from the ship. Rodrigo says adieu, and he exits off the scene, so we're left with Iago's soliloquy. And remember, the only characters who have soliloquies are the characters who have something to hide, and of course Iago has something to hide at this point. Another narrative technique that you want to make sure that you write down, I think we might have talked about it last time, I'm not certain, but you pay attention to how much Rodrigo speaks and how much Iago speaks. And Rodrigo just has a few words, and Iago has so much to say, because he knows that's how he has to manipulate Rodrigo. He can just tell him the plan, tell him whatever he wants him to think or he wants him to believe, and Rodrigo will go along with it. And we've seen that in the past couple of scenes. So here's what Iago's real plan is, what he's really thinking. That Cassio loves her, I do well believed. That she loves him, 'tis apt and of great credit. So Iago says, I really believe that Cassio loves her. Maybe not that he's in love with her, that he's infatuated or obsessed with her, but he has some kind of care and love for her. And then when he talks about Desdemona, take a look at the footnotes. It's probable, it could happen, that she loves him, is what he's saying. The more, howbeit, that I endure him not, is of a constant, loving, noble nature, and I dare think he'll prove to Desdemona a most dear husband. So he's actually saying something nice about Othello, and Iago says he really does believe that Othello loves Desdemona and that he would make a good husband for her, which makes what he's about to do all the more despicable and evil in his plan. Now I do love her too, not out of absolute lust, though peradventure I stand accountant for as great a sin, but partly led to die at my revenge. Take a look at a couple of the footnotes, and then we'll discuss. Iago admits that he says he loves Desdemona, but not in the same way that, of course, Othello loves Desdemona. He says it's not out of complete lust, so, of course, he has lust for her because of the way that she looks, but it's not just because of that. He says, it's partly led to die at my revenge, for that I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leaped into my seat, the thought whereof doth like a poisonous mineral gnaw my innards. So remember what Iago said before in his last soliloquy, where he made reference to the fact that he believed that Othello had been sleeping with his wife Emilia, and that was another reason for him to hate him, even though we know it's not true. It was just a rumor that Iago chose to believe. and nothing can or shall content my soul till I am avenged with him, wife for wife. Or failing so, yet that I put the more at least into a jealousy so strong that judgment cannot cure. So Iago says he's not going to stop until either he sleeps with Desdemona or he makes Othello believe that Desdemona is sleeping with someone else and puts him in such a jealous rage as Iago is now in. Which thing to do if this poor trash of Venice, Rodrigo is the poor trash, whom I trace for his quick hunting, stand the putting on, I'll have our Michael Cassio on the hip. Take a look at some of the footnotes. Okay, so the fight that he's planning to ensue between Rodrigo and Cassio is going to put Cassio at his mercy, his being Iago's mercy. Abuse him to the more in the garb rank. So he's saying he's going to slander his name to Othello. He's going to make Othello believe that Cassio is sleeping with Desdemona. For I fear Cassio with my nightcap too. Now take a look at the footnote on that. So Iago is saying at this point that he feels that Cassio has also been sleeping with his wife Emilia, which of course again is ridiculous. Iago is just overly jealous at this point. Make the more thank me, love me, and reward me for making him egregiously an ass and practicing upon his peace and quiet, even to madness. So Iago is saying, I'm going to tell him my feelings of Cassio, that he's been sleeping with Desdemona, and while I'm giving him all this information, Othello's going to thank me for being honest with him, all the while I'm making an ass out of him because I'm making all of this up. 'Tis here, but yet confused, knavery's plain face, as never seen till used. So he's personifying knavery or evil, and he's being honest, of course, with himself. He has no reason to lie. He says that he doesn't have a complete plan at this point, but you have to let it unfold. So even though he doesn't use the word patience, this is again another reference to Iago's patience, that he doesn't have to have everything planned out point by point by point by point. He kind of has main ideas or main concepts, and then he just sees what happens, and then he moves on from there. Okay, flip the page to 82, and we're on Act 2, Scene 2. Othello's herald with a proclamation enters onto the scene and says, It is Othello's pleasure, our noble and valiant general, okay, those words noble and valiant being referenced with Othello should be marked, that upon certain tidings now arrived, importing the mere perdition of the Turkish fleet, every man put himself into triumph, some to dance, some to make bonfires, each man to what sport and revels his addiction leads him. For besides these beneficial news, it is a celebration of his nuptial. So much was his pleasure should be proclaimed. All offices are open, and there is full liberty of feasting from this present hour of 5 till the bell have tolled 11. Heaven bless the Isle of Cyprus and our noble General Othello, and he exits off the scene. So pretty much all you need to gather is they're really excited that Othello's there and there's no more threat of the war, so they're going to have a huge party, and everyone on the island of Cyprus is invited to come. They're going to be celebrating two things. They're going to be celebrating the defeat of the Turkish fleet, and they're going to be celebrating Desdemona and Othello's marriage, since they didn't really have the opportunity to do that in Verona. And that's it. So if we happen to have a snow day on Tuesday, which I'm thinking that we might, I do not want you moving forward in your unit calendar, because I don't want to try and cram in all of the scenes into one day. That's just not going to be beneficial for anyone. So we're just going to go ahead and just be prepared to speak on Act 2, Scene 1 and Act 2, Scene 2 whenever we meet again. Have a great day.